Welcome to Behind the Body. I'm Andrea, certified nutrition and fitness coach. In my 30s, I lost 20 pounds and I've maintained it well through my 40s. Every week here, we talk about what's really happening with perimenopause and weight gain, what to do about it, and the brutal but beautiful truth about this stage of life. Whether you're just starting or tired of starting over, you are in the right place and I'm so happy you're here. Let's dive in. I'm not a huge alcohol drinker, but I used to be. I didn't have a problem per se, but I was never one to skip a couple glasses of wine with dinner during the week or happy hours with friends. And my weekends often consisted of going out for dinner and drinks. I was just a very social drinker. On vacation, dinner, at the airport, I just took advantage of the situation to have a couple drinks. I thought it was a good time, and it was. I never took it too far. I wouldn't say I have any regrets or did anything stupid necessarily, but I know that when I was drinking often, I was not only just not feeling great, but I wasn't looking great. But the benefits of drinking, my experiences at the time outweighed the negatives. So when I turned 40, I had this goal to compete in a bodybuilding show. Now, this is a story for another time, but high level moral of the story is I was turning 40. I was kind of sad about it. I was definitely feeling a certain way about it. And I wanted to do something that I've never done before. I didn't know anybody who did bodybuilding. I didn't know much about bodybuilding, but I said, at least that is a goal that I could set to really challenge myself physically, mentally, emotionally, and maybe get in the best shape of my life while doing it. And as I prepared for the show, I could not have a sip of alcohol. The diet is so tight, so regimented. I mean, I could not afford any extra calories. So I trained for the show for about 3 months where I cut out all alcohol and I did the show. And I decided that I liked it so much that I was going to continue to train and improve. And I did this for about 3 years. So from about 40 years old to 43 years old, I didn't drink much alcohol because I was constantly training, constantly in prep for a show. And during that time, I really fell out of love with drinking. I didn't know it at the time. But when I stopped training for the show, when I decided I'm no longer going to compete, I then had the freedom to go back to doing whatever I wanted to, eating and drinking and all the same habits that I used to have. So naturally, I went back to having a few drinks with friends. They were so excited to have me back. And I just realized, oh, I don't really like this anymore. And while I still did it and I was still having fun and social events and whatnot, I found myself wanting to drink less and less. And even when I did drink in those instances, I was having less and less. Now, bring me to today and why I wanted to talk about this. First and foremost, because we're in the middle of the holiday season, and I feel like now more than any other time of the year, alcohol is super prevalent. But we just finished Thanksgiving. And in my Thanksgiving episode, I was talking with my sister and I said, I just don't think I'm going to drink that much. I just don't feel like it. And normally, historically at Thanksgivings, I bring my own wine, I'm popping bottles, I am responsible for bringing the alcohol and we all enjoy. Well, this year, I had 3 drinks at Thanksgiving in the span of the day. Now, to some, that might be a lot. To others, that might not be much at all. To me, in my alcohol consumption recently, that was middle of the road. It was neither a lot nor a little, but I thought it was over an extended period of time that I was just fine. Well, I had a blast. The drinks were phenomenal. My sister is an amazing bartender, even though she barely drinks, but it was great. Now, let me tell you about waking up on Friday morning, because that is actually the reason why I wanted to make this episode, is I woke up feeling like crap. I was certifiably hungover by just having 3 drinks the day before. And not only did I not feel well, but I was cranky. I was just not happy. I was not myself. There were a bunch of things I wanted to get done on Friday, and my motivation dropped to close to zero. And I just was not having it. I was just not myself that day. And then as a result, all my discipline went away, not getting my work and other things that I wanted to get done for the day, but also my discipline for working out or for eating well. I wanted none of it. And I really reflected about my desire to drink and the place that it has in my life going forward. Because the truth is that my body now at 44 years old processes alcohol completely different than it did, even just before 40, in my 30s and definitely in my 20s. And if I wanted to maintain my weight, which is kind of secondary, but we'll talk about that in more detail in a bit, but really maintain my energy, my discipline, and my overall happiness throughout the holidays without having to give up drinking completely because I still enjoy it. I needed to really understand what was actually happening and where my problem lies, what was actually happening to my body. Because here's the problem: we are deep into the holiday season where every event involves alcohol. We know that in order to lose weight or to maintain weight, we need to significantly reduce alcohol or quit drinking altogether. But you also don't want to be the person who's nursing sparkling water at every party and you kind of want to have some fun. But you can't drink like you used to without having these negative consequences. So, this is where I don't want to be stuck between the all or nothing. Either quit entirely or just say, forget it all and deal with the consequences. But I know every wellness influencer will say, just stop drinking. You need to stop drinking if you want to lose weight. But that just feels unrealistic to my life, and it may feel unrealistic to yours as well. And that's totally fine. All of these problems come from the fact that our bodies just do not metabolize alcohol the same way anymore. Here's what's happening in our body after we turn 40. Our liver becomes less effective at metabolizing alcohol as we age and eliminates it more slowly from our bodies. And here's the kicker: our livers are also responsible for breaking down hormones like estrogen, which naturally begins to fluctuate during perimenopause. So our liver's already working so hard over time dealing with all of the changing hormones, and then you add alcohol on top of it. But it gets even worse for weight maintenance. To our body, alcohol is basically a poison. Our bodies can't store it like other foods, and it wants to get rid of it as quickly as possible. So to make this happen, other metabolic processes like fat burning take a back seat to alcohol metabolism. Translation: when you drink, your body stops burning fat and focuses entirely on processing the alcohol. Every other metabolic process, breaking down protein from dinner, burning stored fat, gets paused. And in our 40s, we're losing muscle mass at the rate of 3 to 8% per decade while body fat increases. And this is due to sarcopenia, which is age-related muscle loss. More body fat plus less muscle mass on top of that, and the same glasses of wine that you had in your 20s and 30s leave you with a higher blood alcohol level in your 40s and 50s. And here's what I notice happening: moderate to heavy drinking increases the intensities of these hot flashes, or I guess I would call them night sweats, that I get. Alcohol makes sleep quality subpar, and you're getting more nighttime wakings, your inability to fall asleep, leaving you overly tired and irritable the next day. Hence my own experience. The day after drinking, I crave carbs and fats like crazy, and I literally have zero willpower around food. And I just don't even care, which is like the worst part of it. 2 glasses of wine is an additional 225 calories, and that's like at average pour. If you're like me, I know many of us are pouring more than a 5-ounce pour. And while 225 extra calories might not sound like a lot, it definitely adds up. But here's the part that really gets me. There's evidence that alcohol affects your stress response pathways, activating your flight or fight response and increasing cortisol levels. So not only are you adding empty calories, but you're telling your body to store fat. And at our age, in perimenopause and menopause, it loves to store that fat around our midsection. And I know this myself when I drink consistently. So let's say I'm going on a vacation or I have a bunch of social events coming up that there will be alcohol at. I know that drinking alcohol will cause me to gain weight. And that's something, if I'm drinking, I actually accept. I remember back before I started competing, so this was in my late 30s, when I was on a weight loss journey. I would do sober October, and every October I would quit alcohol for the entire 31 days, or at least until Halloween night, because there tends to be a lot of alcohol on Halloween. But I would quit drinking for the entire month of October in an effort to clear my body of just the alcohol and the toxins, but also as a weight loss method. For the last 3 years that I did sober October, I lost upwards around 6 to 7 pounds. And that is just from casual drinking. That's not from like going out on benders or like drinks every single night. That's drinking wine during the week with dinner and going out a night or two on the weekends. So 6 to 7 pounds of harboring, storing this fat, and the weight loss would come exactly from my midsection. I don't even gain a lot of weight in my midsection, but that is where I lost the majority of that weight when I stopped drinking for those sober Octobers. But it probably wasn't just even the casual drinking. It's the domino effect of drinking, the not eating healthy, the not being motivated to work out, the loss of discipline, all of this stuff. Alcohol is not just about the calories, but it's also about the domino effect. So, my goal for you and also for myself is not to just decide to quit drinking entirely for the holidays, make it 8 days, and then go binge drink at the next Christmas party that we are invited to, and then spiral and just say F it and take yourself through the New Year's on a bender. Or just decide that this is too hard and drink however you want and then feel guilty every morning and feel like crap every morning afterwards. Both options suck. And you're probably thinking, Andrea, I don't want to be the only one not drinking at holiday parties. People will ask questions, you'll feel left out. And honestly, a glass of wine is how a lot of us like to unwind after dealing with the stress of the holidays and families and work and everything else. I get it. I don't want to cut alcohol out of my life completely, especially around the holidays. But here's what's changed for me. And I would say in the last 8 years plus, as I was on my weight loss journey and then competing, and then now just being older and not being able to metabolize alcohol well. I stopped making it an all or nothing. I refuse to make it an all or nothing. I don't drink to quote unquote relax anymore because it actually doesn't relax me. And I acknowledge this now. It disrupts my sleep and it makes me more anxious and irritable the next day. But I do drink when I genuinely want to enjoy a cocktail or wine with dinner. Last month, there were 12 social events on my calendar and I drank at 5 of them. That's 42% drinking, 58% not drinking. So I would say I'm winning. The old me would have felt like I failed for drinking at any of them because I do sometimes have an all or nothing mindset. But the current me, I enjoyed those 5 drinks without guilt. I woke up feeling okay the next day, but with the expectation that I might feel a little bit off. And I was strategic about it. And strategy for me is everything. Planning for me is everything. Planning to be hungover for me is everything. So here's my actual holiday drinking strategy that does not require quitting. Number one, count your actual drinking events. So right now, open your calendar. Count how many actual events that you have between now and January 2nd where you'll want to drink. Not like, well, there's wine at the book club, so I guess I'll have some. I mean events where drinking will enhance your experience. For me this year, it was Friendsgiving, it was my family's Thanksgiving, it's going to be Christmas Eve dinner, New Year's Eve, and that's probably it. That's likely all the drinking that I'll do. And that way, it's so satisfying for me because I know like all those events are so fun and they're very social and there'll be plenty of alcohol. And so I know I can enjoy myself on these days. The other parties or social events, they're just not worth it for me to drink and experience that hangover the next day. Number two, front load your strategy. On days that I know I'm drinking, here's what I do. I eat very healthy all day, full of carbs and fats and, of course, protein. It's a non negotiable for me. I do not go into drinking alcohol on an empty stomach. And I have a ton of water. I always drink close to a gallon of water a day. But on days where I know I'll be drinking at night, I have a ton of water. I make sure I get it all in. And in addition to that, I probably have some electrolytes. And I make sure not to skip my workout because if I'm feeling like crap the next day, I want to make sure that I have my workout in the day before and I'm not skipping 2 days in a row. This way, when I arrive at whatever social event I'm going to, I'm not arriving hungry or dehydrated, which is when you overdrink and overeat. So I'm giving my body the nutrients it needs to process alcohol more efficiently. And then I have a drink strategy. I follow what I call the 1-1-1 rule. I have 1 drink, 1 full glass of water, and I make sure there's 1 hour minimum before the second drink. Now, if you're going to a short event, of course, then this isn't a good strategy for that. But the 1 drink, 1 water rule is. And also, in some cases, if I am drinking wine for that evening, I will sometimes dilute my wine with a little bit of water, with a little bit of soda water, just to make it last longer so I'm not over drinking. Because I tend to have the problem where I drink fairly quickly and it doesn't hit me as quickly as maybe some other people. So I can drink quite a bit of alcohol before I'm like really feeling it. So I make sure that I pace myself in order to not accidentally overconsume. But at a 3 hour party, that's a maximum 2 to 3 drinks that I'm having. And not because I'm restricting, it's because any more than that makes me feel like crap the next day. I have some go-to lower calorie drinks that I prioritize. So I will have, like I said, wine, sometimes diluted with water or soda water. I will have a vodka soda with lime, which is less than 100 calories, or like a gin and soda with cucumbers, which is also like right around 100 calories. Or also sometimes if it's maybe a shorter event, I might have a little taster of whiskey. That way I have a glass to carry around and I'm just taking little baby sips at a time. So it'll last me a long time. But what I definitely avoid are sweet cocktails with simple syrup. any beer, because I don't know if I'm allergic to beer, but it always makes me feel bloated, or anything that I can't track the pour, like holiday punch or bottomless mimosas. And here's the key. One standard drink is 5 ounces of wine, 12 ounces of beer, or 1.5 ounces of spirits. Most restaurants and also most home pours pour like 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 ounces. You know who you are. So you think you're having 2 drinks, but you're actually having 4. And then we want to consider and strategize and plan our morning after protocol. If I do drink, here's my non-negotiable next morning routine. I immediately upon waking have 16 ounces of water. It sits right next to my bed. It's full when I go to bed at night, and I am chugging that baby as soon as my feet hit the ground. I have a high protein breakfast within 1 hour mixed with carbs and fruit. I need all of the nutrients to get me back to life. I do a minimum of a 20-minute walk. And this is usually so I can get my cortisol down, reset my mind, get some fresh air. And because typically when I'm hungover, I'm a little bit cranky, it helps me connect with nature. So usually my walk is outside and it resets me, it grounds me, and it feels good. And 100% I try to get back to my normal eating routine. I don't just say, forget it, that I already blew it. I don't have that mentality. When I'm strategically planning and executing my drinking nights out, I really make sure to get back to my normal eating so I just don't let all of my discipline and habits go out the door. This actually helps to stop the spiral. One night of drinking doesn't derail me, but 3 days of recovery eating or recovery mindset and the forget it, lack discipline, lack motivation mindset absolutely will derail me. So just to recap, your body processes alcohol completely differently in your 40 because of the declining estrogen, decreased muscle mass, and a less efficient liver. So it's not just in your mind, you are actually metabolizing alcohol way differently than you did in your 20s and 30s. And alcohol doesn't just add calories. It also stops fat burning, it disrupts your sleep, it increases your cortisol, and triggers next day, forget everything, motivation and discipline out the window, give me all the carbs, give me all the fat, cravings. You don't have to quit drinking altogether to maintain your weight, but you do need to be strategic about when and how much you drink. The holidays are not 40 days of special occasions, okay? Identify your actual drinking events and treat everything else like a normal day. So this week, try this. Count your actual holiday drinking events and write them down. Put them in your calendar. Everything else is a regular day where you're drinking water or sparkling water with lime or something that's not alcohol. Deal? Deal. And one quick thing before you go, if you enjoyed today's episode, I send out a Tuesday newsletter that's basically more of this, but in short form. One useful strategy for my own journey, real talk about what's working, and also what I'm screwing up on a regular, and I don't sugarcoat anything. Think of it like texting with a friend who's figured out how to maintain her weight loss through her 40s and wants to share the real behind the scenes. If that sounds good, head to behindthebody.com/newsletter and join me. It comes out every Tuesday morning, and it'll be your new favorite tradition, besides Taco Tuesday, of course. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am so glad that you did, and I can't wait to talk to you next Monday.